Race 2 of the weekend in the GT4 European Series here at Spa-Francorchamps. It's a wet track, it's an hour race in prospect, but it promises to be a really interesting one with the potential Pro-Am Championship winning car starting on the back row of the grid. Welcome along to the second race of the weekend. David Addison trackside, Gemma Scott down on the grid, and the cars will have this wet track to contend with. Now, the forecast, believe it or not, is that it's going to improve rather than get worse. So possibly, by the time we get to the pit window, it could be that people are thinking about changing from the Pirelli wets to slicks. But it's a cold morning, inevitably, and there's not much of a breeze to help dry the circuit. So it could be that that second stint does remain on wet tyres. All will be revealed. The pit window, 25 to 35 minutes, 92 seconds for a pit stop. And we'll factor in the pit window in due course. Let's first hear from some of the drivers. Wilfried Casabon on the grid is with Gemma Scott.
Wilfried, starting on the front row, second position here. It's very cold.
Yes.
The track is wet, starting on wet tyres. What can we expect?
I think for the first part of the race, it's very difficult pour faire chauffer les pneus, ça va être très difficile, je pense. Donc bon, on va faire le possible. Et pour la seconde partie, il va falloir essayer de rafraîchir les pneus au maximum pour les conserver et bien finir la course.
So it's going to be complicated to heat the tyres and to then conserve the tyres throughout the race. Do you think you might have to change onto slicks if the track dries out?
No, I think we keep these tires for all the race. I think it's better, more secure.
Super. Bon courage, bon course.
Merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much.
Well done, Gemma. So Wilfried Casabon talking about tyres. There is the Toyota Supra, the GR Supra, Gazoo Racing, and Wilfried Casabon, new to the GT4 European Series this year for this weekend, replacing Timothée Bouret, who is concentrating on the Total 24 Hours of Spa, but he's with the regular driver Antoine Potti. Now, this is where we stand in the championship after yesterday. Bastien Bus and Jan Kaspelik won the Pro-Am element of the race, and if they win the class today, they are Pro-Am champions even with 2 races to go, ahead of Nikolai Müller-Madsen and Jörg Wiebahn. Then third in the Pro-Am standings, you've got Chambolo Bazzi and Jagish Gedik, ahead of the absent Joel Camathias and Ivan Giacomo. Wim Spinoy and Kay Van Berlo are not here, nor is Kenneth Hire, but Antoine Potti is, Joachim Wilder, and then his co-driver, which is in the BMW, Alfred Nilsson, and also after yesterday's result, Wilfried Casabon, all on 15 points apiece. There is Gael Castelli, who will start in the pole position, netting Toyota. He did the time. The car yesterday had a problem under the safety car start procedure and then limped into the pit lane, and it went out and ultimately got the fastest lap of the race in Castelli's hands. So the Toyota Gazoo Racing France entry had pace, but it seemed to be a misfire. Whether it was a bit flippant to say water in the works, the team didn't really vouchsafe, but there were laptops being plugged in and the car had another pit stop to try and cure the problem. But when it was sorted, it flew. So it's yet to win outright, that car, this year. This could be its day of days, let us see. Gael Castelli, very experienced and successful French national racer, shares with the Belgian journalist racer Stéphane Lemerey, and he will be in the car in the second stint. Having yesterday, of course, had dramas on the safety car start. It was a wet race yesterday, so they started behind the safety car. Today, it is going to be the conventional rolling start. The race director, Steve Burns, the British official, has been out to inspect the circuit, and he's happy that we can get a normal rolling start underway without the need for the safety car start. So, of course, that always counts within the hour, so the clock will start when the safety car peels off and we will go racing. One big talking point of the weekend across every category has been track limits. You'll see why as the race gets underway. They are being policed at the turn 3-4 Radion Eau Rouge sequence of corners. Also, you'll see people running wide elsewhere. Part of the reason for that, as the formation lap gets underway, is that the AstroTurf that used to be behind the curbing at Spa has gone, and so the drivers now can go straight over the curb onto runoff tarmac and get instant grip, whereas before you'd be on the AstroTurf that wasn't ideal. So they're getting the confidence to push even harder now. This is the grid. Gael Castelli is the man on pole position, lining up alongside his Antoine Potti, ahead of yesterday's winner Valentin Asclot. Alfred Nilsson is alongside, ahead of the multiple AM class winning combination of Nicolai Gomar and Gilles Vannelet. Jagish Gedik's BMW is next ahead of the spectacular Nicolai Müller-Madsen and then Esteban Butt. Rafael Villanueva in the Mercedes alongside Ibrahim Okyai. Then it's the soloist, Bob Herber and Duncan Heisman will be one to watch in the Chevrolet. Teammate Yacht Rapinge is next from Andreas Mayal. Bastien Bus off the back of the grid and Maurizio Fondi lying up alongside. So that is how they will start. 3 classes, silvers, the Silver Cup for the, if you like, 2 young guns in 1 car, or 2 drivers of comparable pace. Then you've got Pro-Am, which is exactly as the name says. You've got the gentleman racer and a quick gun, and the AMs. But the AMs can, in the context of Nicolai Gomar and Gilles Vannelet, be experienced and quick anyway. And they've been doing some pretty impressive giant killing over the course of the year. But as ever, the structure of an SRO championship, if you like, fills the grid from the back. Look after the AMs, and then you'll get the grid nice and full. And although GT4 has had a bit of a tough time this year, like many championships, thanks to the restrictions placed upon teams, drivers, countries, circuits, you name it, by COVID-19, GT4 is still strong. Lots and lots of teams eagerly trying to get back into the championship, with cars sitting there with 1 driver but not 2, or 2 drivers that all of a sudden find that they can't travel or whatever it might be. So it's a constant battle for everybody involved to keep championships going at the same numbers that we perhaps had a couple of months ago, but it remains a strong category worldwide now, of course, GT4, and proof of that is the number of different manufacturers that have cars for it. Here you've got a snapshot of Toyota, BMW, Aston Martin, Porsche, Chevrolet all on the grid. We know that there are McLarens, there are Ginettas, there are all other brands lined up ready to come into the series. GT4 big business for the manufacturers since the emphasis changed, as you look at the Chevrolet Camaro of Duncan Heisman, away from a car going to a tuner to then try to sell on to manufacturers doing it themselves. A turnkey race car is exactly what the AMs need. All these are limited aero but user friendly. You could do lots of different races with a GT4 car, not just the GT4 championships. They're eligible for 24-hour series races, for track day use, of course. So if you buy a car, you've got a huge amount of potential to get your money's worth out of it. And with double driver races, of course, you can also split the cost. You're not paying for all of it yourself. In the case, certainly of the AMs, put the budget between the pair of you, and it makes good financial sense. So, first of all, we need to think about what sort of a race we're in for here. The road's still damp. Drivers thinking that it will remain damp, so there's no real option to go onto the slick tyre in the pit stops. All will be revealed as the field now accelerates up towards Blanchimont. The safety car will start now to bunch everybody up behind it. They'll get in the Noah's Ark 2x2 formation, ready for the start of the race itself, which is due away in about 1.5 minutes time. But there, number 99, Duncan Heisman, multiple Macau Gear race, the touring car race winner, very experienced Dutch touring car champion, GT4 champion, and revels in these big, powerful cars. The Chevrolet Camaro, one of 2 run by the V8 racing team, the other one being there, the blue-nosed car, which is going to be started by Yacht Rapinge in his first season, really, of racing these cars, having moved out of karting. And Yacht Rapinge, certainly one to watch. He's been pretty spectacular over the course of the season. So into Blanchimont they now come. And then to the bus stop chicane. Is this going to be 2 out of 2 for Theo Nouet and Valentin Asclot? Can Nicolai Müller-Madsen get through the traffic early doors? He was so spectacular yesterday in Porsche number 21. And what also about the Toyota, certainly number 8, is Gael Castelli finally going to have the luck that's been almost there all season and finally get a win on the board. All about to be revealed then as the cars now make their way into the bus stop chicane, and all Toyota front row then. Gael Castelli alongside Antoine Potti. They come into the right, then the left of the bus stop. BMW second row, BMW third row, both lined up alongside an Aston Martin as the cars now then make the run up towards the timing line. And we understand as the lights will change, one of the Chevrolets is on slicks. We'll check in a moment as the cars go racing then now. So a good getaway is made by Gael Castelli from pole position. Is he going to be able to hang on to the advantage as they dive down towards La Source? Yes, he is, but look at Nicolai Müller-Madsen. He's second already. A fantastic start from the 4th row of the grid. Number 21 Porsche up into 2nd spot. He's got slightly out Fox coming through the hairpin at La Source, so he drops back into 3rd. But Nicolai Müller-Madsen has made a demon getaway. They power downhill for the first time, and it is the Toyota's 1st and 2nd then. Castelli leading, Potti is 2nd, Müller-Madsen is 3rd. And there the Chevrolets turn through, and it looks like it might be Heisman that's gone for the slick tyres because he's losing places. Look, there is Yot Rapanga in the blue Chevrolet. He's on the outside line trying to gain ground. He's on the back there of the Esteban Muth green Mercedes as the race leaders head up now into Les Cons for the first time. So Gael Castelli up front, Antoine Potty in second place, but Nikolai Müller-Madsen could well be the man to watch here to see whether or not there's an opportunity for him to dive through the traffic. He's right there with the Toyotas, look, being crowded out to the outside line, out of Les Cons for the first time in this 1 hour race. Over the brow they come, now heading into the braking zone for Bruxelles, and you can see the way that Nikolai Müller-Madsen is going. He knows also he's got to win the class here to keep their hopes alive as he's up the inside line coming out of Bruxelles. That's the outside line for the next corner. Switches sides, lines up for the inside and goes through. Dive bombs Antoine Potty up the inside. Nikolai Müller-Madsen, the Danish driver, goes through, takes second place, and now will try to storm away onto the tail of Gael Castelli as they drop downhill. Duncan Heisman falling back in the traffic, so it looks as though of the two Chevrolets, his is the one that's gone onto slicks, because Duncan Heisman just does not have the pace, because he does not have the grip. And is the road going to come to him? Other teams clearly think not, and it could be a pretty horrible first stint for Duncan Heisman if the road remains as cold and as damp and as greasy as it is. As they're into the pith path wide, goes to a Theo Nue and Valentin Asclau's car. It is Asclau at the wheel of it. Yesterday's winners. So the 27 Aston Martin comes now out of campus up into the Cours Paul Frere onto the power, whereas Nikolai Müller-Madsen's Porsche tries to find a way up onto the tail and then get past Gael Castelli's Toyota. Battle on lower down, look, because there you have number 12 BMW trying to wriggle its way through the order as well. That is Jagish Gedik. It also looks as though number 31 Mercedes may have gambled on slick rubber too, Bob Herber, because that's another car falling a long, long, long way back as the leaders come out of Blanchimont. You see how wide they run there, and it's pretty wet, that part of the circuit too. Ball spray hanging in the air. 3 wide as Esteban Muth goes to the outside line, gets ahead of the BMW, tries to get up alongside the Aston Martin in the hands of Gilles Vannelet, can't do it. Look behind, 22 Porsche is Bastien Bus up from the back of the grid, hunting a class win, a championship win in Pro-Am as the leaders come by. So 1 lap is in the book, and down towards La Source with Castelli 7/10 of a second up on Nikolai Müller-Madsen at the end of the opening tour here. 22 through La Source. Bastien Bus and a spin there, and there's been contact because you can see the damage on the road. Yot Rapanga has been turned around in the Chevrolet. The Camaro facing the wrong way. Now, who was he with when he came over the line? He was behind Bastien Bus. He was ahead of Rafael Villanueva's Mercedes. So piece it all together. There's been contact somewhere that's got the Chevrolet in the wrong direction. Bastien Bus now comes up to have a go at Jagish Gedik, the Porsche versus the blue BMW. And the Allied Racing Cayman, the 718 iteration, goes blasting by. Toyotas, though, are still 1-3, sandwiching the other Cayman in the race, the competitive Cayman of Nikolai Müller-Madsen. And the cars now turn into Les Cons once more. So there is Bastien Bus. He's up into 8th place now, overall that is. And that's 4th within Pro-Am, so there's still work to do. Next target there you can see is Esteban Muth. Belgian driver comes up the curb, out of Les Cons, down now into Bruxelles, turning to the right-hander. Bus lines up to have a go on the inside, can't find a way by though. Why was the car at the back of the grid? Because Jan Kasperlik made a mistake in his session, and the car was late out in Bus's session, and therefore as he gets into the back of Muth at Speaker's Corner, just could not get a good lap time in the remaining time available on the damp road. Downhill they come, and now once more to the outside line, then the inside goes Bastien Bus, trying everything to find a way past the Mercedes. He's up the inside of Paul, he's got the tighter line. Has he got the drive off the corner? He's going to be on the outside line on the run towards pith path. He can't stay alongside as there for the race lead. Müller-Madsen comes up to have a go at Gael Castelli. Not able to get through at the pith path, but nose to tail. These two run now down towards campus. The right-hander past the college. And Müller-Madsen, just like yesterday, very exciting driver to watch, the car dancing around, and here might tell us what happened to Yot Rapanga. Let's see. He comes into La Source and arrives backwards, but the timing screen says incident between numbers 17 and 13. Ibrahim Okyai's BMW noted. This was the other very, very close racing. Bus into the tail of the Mercedes. Over the curb, just going through shot the BMW, the Swedish entry, and it's Alfred Nilsson at the wheel of the car. Bastien Boost then still presses on as he comes down towards the bus stop. Race leaders, 3 for the lead almost, because Antoine Potty not dropping away too much from Nikolai Müller-Madsen. Over the timing line they come, and the gap between the top 2 was 7/10 of a second. It is now 8/10 of a second as Castelli does the fastest lap of the race. Then you start to think about the second stint for the overall situation. Stefan Lemeray versus Jörg Wiebahn, and Lemeray is probably the quicker of the two. There to the inside line, place gain, Bastien Boost easy on the inside, that wasn't it? 7th overall he now goes. Doesn't change the order in the class for him. As the race leaders power downhill once more through Eau Rouge now. Great shot that, you can hear the cars running over the curb, you can hear the different engine notes as well. Duncan Heisman, incidentally, he has just gone by in the slick shod Chevrolet. His last lap was at 2 minutes 59. Then the one after that was a 3 minutes 4, so he is still struggling way off the pace of the opposition. So the track certainly is not good enough for slicks. The gamble hasn't worked for him and Jorge Carapaz, but they'll put it on to wets at the pit stops, I would imagine. As you look at Bastien Boost now, getting onto the back of Gilles Vannelet, so that is the AM leading Aston Martin. The Pro-Am Porsche is behind. There's no overall champion in this, don't forget. There are only class champions. Gilles Vannelet and Nicolas Gomard share the Aston Martin, having a good result almost offered to them here, with Bob Herber having also gambled, it seems, on the slick tyres and being a long way back. So he's struggling at the moment as Boost, again, brave on the inside there, closes right up onto the tail of the Aston, going down through turn 9, Speaker's Corner. It's another part of the circuit where liberties on track limits are taken this year, for myriad reasons, partly the nature now with the AstroTurf having gone, partly also the fact that we have far fewer officials on site, and therefore you just cannot physically police every car from every corner, even in race control with all the data available. Boost lines up to have a go on the inside into the piff path, brakes as late as he dares, but Gilles Vannelet gives him the room there. There's no point fighting that car, he's not in the same class, let it go. So through goes 22 Porsche, so that's another place gain for Bastien Boost, up to 7th place, now 6th place overall. And the next target is going to be Alfred Nielsen's BMW. There it is, going into the Cours Paul Frère. So Bastien Boost has got a bit of work to do over the next 2-3 laps to catch the M4. But once he has done so, he should be able to gain further progress. Replay of the start here. Have a look at Nikolai Müller-Madsen from the 3rd row. Storms away. Finds a big gap on the inside. Rather blocked in there. The Gilles Vannelet Aston Martin. And so comes up to gain ground on the inside line, but as everybody else was concentrating on perhaps focusing on La Source, they all moved out of his way. There was the big gap on the inside, and by late braking up the inside into almost second, it ended up 3rd, Nikolai Müller-Madsen, as they dived into the first corner. 1 or 2 others being forced out wide, but a good start that by Müller-Madsen, putting him now up into 2nd place, but he's struggling to be able to go further from there. He can't get past Gael Castelli's Toyota. Castelli yesterday did the fastest lap. He's done it again here as number 12 BMW goes through. That is Jagic Gedich, regular GT4 and 24-hour series racer is Gedich, and he is in pursuit of Esteban Oeuf. But look at the gap coming down pretty markedly now between Alfred Nielsen and Bastien Boost behind him. The last lap for Nielsen was a 2:49, and nearly 2 seconds quicker Bastien Boost. They are both in Pro-Am, so this is going to be for 2nd in the class now. The battle, sorry, 3rd in the class. The battle shaping up between them. Müller-Madsen leads Pro-Am from Antoine Potty, and then it's Nielsen 3rd and Boost 4th, and there they are. Look, almost as one as they head into Les Combes this time. Behind, leading the AM competition, is Gilles Vannelet, and there, 2nd place, Nikolai Müller-Madsen has fallen quite a long way back now from Gael Castelli. The gap up to 1.8 seconds. It also means that there you can see 66 Toyota Antoine Potty a little bit closer. Number 13, Ibrahim Okiai, has made a pit stop and is under investigation for possibly speeding in the pit lane. So a double whammy, an enforced pit stop and then speeding, which might result in a penalty. 66 then, Antoine Potty turns through. Getting himself back onto terms, as you can see with Nikolai Müller-Madsen. This is for 2nd place. Porsche Cayman versus Toyota Supra. The Cayman of Nikolai Müller-Madsen, after that real good start, now struggling to stay anywhere near the pace of the Toyota in the lead of Gael Castelli, and Muller-Madsen, as he's up the curb there, is really starting to lose pace generally. The car looks more nervous than the Toyota behind. It's sliding around a lot more. Muller-Madsen, we know, is an exciting driver, but this isn't really helping in his quest because that car, again, slides out wide all over the curb. It's looking a handful, that now. So does Muller-Madsen have a problem? Is that car starting to struggle in these conditions? Maybe as it changes from wet to damp, wet to greasy. The Porsche no longer looking quite as strong as it did early on. Castelli is getting quicker all the time, and Antoine Potti's Toyota looking to try to go through now up into second place as the cars come down towards the bus stop. This for the end of lap number 4. Potti lines up on the outside line, does he? Moves to the line, can't find a way through there though. Way out wide out of the bus stop goes Nicolai Muller-Madsen. That enables him to keep up the momentum, goes through over the timing line now, and with a big flash of the lights, Antoine Potti saying, come on, let me by, I'm quicker. But that ain't going to happen. Nicolai Muller-Madsen is perfectly entitled to defend, and defend he will. Bastien Bus on the inside of Alfred Nielsen, goes through, puts him up into 5th place at La Source. Another place overall, and significantly another Pro-Am place gained as well. So there you've got now one of the Porsches making progress forward all the time, the car of Bastien Bus, whereas the class opposition, Nicolai Muller-Madsen's car, seems to be losing pace. So this one's getting quicker, the class rival struggling a little bit. And if Muller-Madsen and Wiebahn finish behind Bus and Kasperlik in this car, then Pro-Am Championship honours go the way of Porsche number 22. So here, up into Les Combes comes Nicolai Muller-Madsen, still defending. Whoops, a little bit of debris flies there. Antoine Potti on his tail as he comes through Les Combes. And downhill they run once again. You can see that there's a hint of a dry line, but still not really enough. But that Porsche, number 21, Nicolai Muller-Madsen's car, seems now to be struggling as this stint wears on. The gap between him and the leader is going up all the time. He's working oh so hard to fend off the Antoine Potti Toyota behind him, and the car just looks loose. It just looks to be sliding around the road a bit more. Out of turn 9, Speaker's corner. Down the hill they drop once again into Pouhon. Great corner this, the so-called double gauche. And Antoine Potti, is he going to be able now to have a run on the charge towards pit back? Let's see. Cayman stays ahead for the moment into the right, left flick of the pit path. Replay here of that bit of bodywork flying. Where did it come from? The rear end of the car, rear corner. And how much of an impact is that going to make to Nicolai Muller-Madsen? At the moment, seemingly very little. Have a look at 4th place as well, because Valentin Asclot, winner yesterday, in rather dominant fashion, he's coming back into the mix. Now that Antoine Potti has got a little bit stuck behind Nicolai Muller-Madsen's Porsche, so the 4th placed Aston is closing, and that's why Potti is getting ever more concerned about his arrival in the mirrors. He's flashing the lights still at Muller-Madsen, and there in 5th place now is Bastien Bus, who's almost up with him as Muller-Madsen goes really wide. Coming out of Blanchimont, that gives Antoine Potti a chance to challenge. He's on the outside line for the corner at the bus stop, can't get through there. Muller-Madsen goes deep into the first bit. The line will then make him wash out, coming out of the bus stop. And over the line they go. That puts now 5 laps in the book. The lead gap is 6.7 seconds, but all of a sudden it's a 3-way battle for second place. Muller-Madsen, Potti, and then Asclot as they turn their way out of La Source. So as the leaders plunge downhill, the doctor in the distance in Gael Castelli, the race very much heading Toyota's way, it seems at the moment, because everybody else is being delayed in this battle pack. And of course Castelli will give way to another quick driver, to Stéphane Lemerey, whereas behind the bulk of the cars are going to be arguing for Pro-Am honours. The next Silver Cup car is Asclot and Nuet's Aston, and that is 7.6 seconds off the race leader. Side by side for second, Potti does it, round the outside at Les Combes. Can he get the car slowed down in time for the corner? No, he's off the road, back on again, 1 up and 1 down. So he loses second place, and all of a sudden, look, Asclot makes a move, and he goes through for 3rd place. So Valentin Asclot and the Aston Martin charges by, and now he will come up to have a go at Nicolai Muller-Madsen, and he wants to get through in a hurry because he can sense that the leading Toyota in the class is getting away all the while now. So brake late for Lecombe, go off the road, drama ensues. That meant there, you can see it happening, off the road went the Toyota. Antoine Potty gained the place, just could not get the car slowed down, and especially when the road was wet like that, he was never going to turn in. So there is 22, Bastien Bus. Bus now up into 5th place, and his last lap was a 2:47.1. Now, in a sense, it's a bit unfair to look at his lap times because most of his race has been in traffic, but he is getting closer to this group for 2nd, 3rd and 4th, and the real mover in it now is Valentin Asclot, because having got himself up 1 place, he now is the man challenging Nikolai Müller-Madsen, and that Porsche still can't get away. Müller-Madsen has spent the last 3 laps or so very much in defence mode. Valentin Asclot came out of Formula Renault racing. He's done Carrera Cup, so he's an experienced peddler. Raced also in the ADAC GT Championship. He's done a bit of British GT in his time as well. So the French driver now right on the back of Nikolai Müller-Madsen as they come out of the bus stop. The Aston with a slightly tighter line, but then it all unravels for him. So Asclot pushed out wide. But has that car got the grunt in a straight line over the seeming to struggle for grip Porsche? Lead margin is up to 10 seconds now between Castelli and Müller-Madsen. And if Valentin Asclot gets the tighter line coming out of La Source here, he might be able to slingshot up the inside. Can't find a way by as yet. Müller-Madsen still able to keep him at bay. Nose to tail they run up Radignon. Müller-Madsen goes wide, back onto the racetrack. Alongside him though is going to be the Aston Martin, which has got a lot of grunt in a straight line. And the Aston up on the outside line should get its nose in front. Antoine Potty trying to buy into this as well. Can he benefit from a slipstream as they head up towards Lecombe? Asclot on the outside line. Müller-Madsen stands his ground and keeps the place coming into Lecombe. Didn't weave, didn't need to. Kept his line, held his nerve, and Asclot on the outside couldn't brake late enough in the wet to be able to swoop round the outside of him. To the inside line to defend goes Müller-Madsen. To the outside line to attack goes Valentin Asclot. That should put him on the inside into Speaker's Corner. He's about to get the job done, I think, because the road will come to him. And yes, finally, somebody has got past Müller-Madsen. It is Valentin Asclot. He's up into 2nd place. And now let's see if the Aston Martin can get away. But that was good, clever driving by the Frenchman. He planned it from a couple of corners back, put the car on the outside, and the road came to him for turn 9 as they both run deep into Point and turn 10 here. Turn 10, 11 really, that long left hand, the double apex left. So Antoine Potty in the Toyota knows that it is possible to get past Müller-Madsen. Now it's his turn to try. He had a go earlier, went off the road in so doing, and now he needs to come back and try and fight his way up past Nikolai Müller-Madsen as the cars run once more into the right at Bruxelles, at Campus. They're on the power as they come up now out of Paul Frere in towards the approach to Blanchimont. The pit window is 5 minutes or so away from opening. In most cases, you've got the quicker driver starting today's race, so expect them to go as far as possible under the regulations. It's only a 10-minute window as Nikolai Müller-Madsen there, absolutely on the limit, tries to stay ahead of Antoine Potty, way out wide at Blanchimont, over the curbs. The runoff area is increasingly becoming part of the racing line as Potty comes to the outside line. Up the curb goes Müller-Madsen. They're going to run wide here as well, but Potty has got the job done. Through he goes. So the Toyota finally is ahead, and it's going to stay there, I think. Now, the next question out of all of this for Nikolai Müller-Madsen is whether or not behind Bastien Bus is able to close up and take the fight to him. Down the hill they drop once more here, but Müller-Madsen, having lost 2 places there, is certainly struggling now. The car identified as having not really got the grip that it had early on in the race after that great start. Müller-Madsen has been struggling. It's been a really good effort to try and keep where he was, but it was never going to work indefinitely. So as he comes up through Radion, the gap between him and Bastien Boost, 3 seconds. But Boost just looking like he's got the quicker car right now. There is the race leader, Gael Castelli, lest we forget, 12 seconds to the good now. Further back, Esteban Muth up the inside to go 7th at the expense there of Alfred Nielsen. So the Mercedes that had a good run yesterday is now further place up the order. Race leaders plunge down the hill as you look at the BMW number 12 of Jagish Gedich. Esteban Muth, there he is, will give way to Willem Meyer. They were 3rd yesterday in the Sellerslau Racing Team Mercedes, and it was a very, very good stint by Esteban Muth. He was able to keep Nicolai Müller-Madsen at bay. Bastien Boost wriggled past him. Müller-Madsen threw everything at him. There was contact. He was off the road, but he could not get by. Esteban Muth drove very, very well yesterday and is chipping away at the moment up the order. Now, driving standards flags are coming. One is for Nicolai Müller-Madsen. Another is for Alfred Nielsen for not respecting the track limits. A warning is going the way of 22 as well, Bastien Boost, for not respecting the track limits at Blanchimont. So Steve Burns, the race director, the stewarding team, chaired by Peter Roberts, having a look at driving standards in general and deciding whether a warning flag is needed, whether a message on the timing screen for the teams to relay will do the trick, or ultimately whether penalties need to come. The timing screens that everybody has access to these days for SRO events have a track limit warning column, and therefore it's easily identifiable as to who the main offenders are, and Nicolai Müller-Madsen is the man with most TLWs to his name right now, as there his class rival Bastien Boost turns into the chicane. Now remember, he was 3 seconds back from Müller-Madsen at the start of this lap, and it does look as though that gap will have really come down over the line. 3.2 becomes, let's see, wait for it on the timing screen, 1.9. So yes, Bastien Boost is absolutely charging. Is he going to get there before the pit stops is the question. And who is the quicker out of the 2 Porsche co-drivers? Jörg Wiebahn that will take over from Müller-Madsen, or is it Jan Kasperlik, the man that will take the car over from this man, Bastien Boost? Powering their way uphill. Wipers on still on this damp circuit. It's more the spray that's being flicked at them more than rain. And the pit window is opening in about a minute and 3/4 time. So for some, it'll be the end of this lap when they can, if they wish, pit. If you're Duncan Heisman or Bob Herbert and you're on the wrong tyres, then you might want to come in early. Duncan Heisman has persevered. His lap times are coming down, but he's still 9 seconds off the fastest lap times being posted by the race leaders. So it's still wets that work, and there's evidence not to think about going on to slicks in the second stint. As now, coming back at Bastien Boost, interestingly, is Gilles Vannelet. So the Aston against the Pro-Am Porsche. What's going on here? Because Bastien Boost was a long way ahead earlier on. Has he got the same strife now as Müller-Madsen as the car is starting to, I don't know, overheat its tyres? But you can see now it no longer has the pace, and Vannelet darts up the inside coming out of turn 9. Into Pouhon, through on the inside line he goes, place gained. So a good job done there by the Aston Martin. Through goes Gilles Vannelet then, picks up the position. So the AM class leading car now getting back ahead of Pro-Am machinery as there Gael Castelli makes his run into the left at Blanchimont. So he's out on his own. 13 seconds was the margin last time. Castelli, like yesterday, has done the fastest lap of the race, and he's going to stay out. The window is now open, but he will do another lap. Castelli, the quicker of the two, not by much, but a little quicker than Leverett, so it's worth him staying out for as long as he can, I guess. They're in second place now, Valentin Asclot taking Antoine Potty with him. And then for fourth place, Nikolai Müller-Madsen. He's about to lose out, is he? Because round the outside goes Gilles Vanelay, very deep into the bus stop. But look, that Aston has suddenly woken up, and Müller-Madsen goes for the pit lane. I just wonder whether they might put a new set of wet tyres on that car, because that Porsche has really been struggling. Might be that the tyres have overheated, it might be that the pressures are all wrong, but either way, Nikolai Müller-Madsen has really had a hard end of that stint. Down the pit road it comes. Can't see the pit box from where I am in the pit lane area, but the car comes in to give way then. Nikolai Müller-Madsen to Jörg Wiebahn. There it is. What will Allied Racing do in order to find the pace back in that car? It'll be interesting to hear if we can from Nikolai Müller-Madsen, because that stint, as we've been saying, unravelled really quick to begin with. But Müller-Madsen struggled. Into the car gets Jörg Wiebahn. You see the team checking the tyre pressures. You don't need to refuel. It's a 92-second line-to-line pit stop, but there's no suggestion that they need to change the tyres, but maybe it's the pressures that do need adjusting, and perhaps it was as simple as that. And if it's the problem on 21, it may well be the same problem for 22, which is also, as you've been seeing, losing pace. So Bastien Bus, his last lap was 2 minutes 51, so it was a slow lap. And yes, it is tyre pressure adjustments, isn't it? So it's not a new set, but the pressures being changed. So as Nikolai Müller-Madsen walks away, it'd be interesting if Gemma does get a chance to go and talk to Nikolai and find out what happened in that stint. It started off so well, but he was really struggling by the end of it, and that has thrown the advantage in the direction of Toyota number 8. Gaël Castelli then out on his own, a bit like actually Théo Nouet and Valentin Asclot were yesterday. So far ahead, so dominant in the race. Now number 98, which is the BMW of Alfred Nielsen, last warning for track limits. So that now is up to 3. After that, penalties come. So there, down the hill goes Jörg Wiebahn into the race, taking over number 21. The Mercedes of Rafael Villanueva has come in as well. That means it will give way to Xavier Lloveras. And Maurizio Fondi's Porsche has come into the pit lane as well for the mandatory driver change. Same car as you're looking at, but a different team. Fondi to give way to septuagenarian Dario Cerati. Now there is Duncan Heisman, who actually has stayed out, interestingly. His lap times are improving, so the road is drying, but he's going to be too far back to really threaten anything. And the drivers that are staying on wets for another half an hour, just wonder whether they might struggle towards the end. However, that's another reason to push your pit stop to the end of the window, isn't it? Because then you can make a definitive call on tyres. Bastien Bus should be in this time, and he is. Like yesterday's race, Allied Racing split the cars, so they don't have to service both at the same time. So it is Castelli 15.9 seconds up from Asclot. There is Bastien Bus coming down the pit lane, and let's see whether it's going to be the same issue for that car in terms of time taken on the tyre pressures. Behind as well is BMW number 12, that's the Jagic Gedik driven car. Down the pit road comes Bastien Bus. Jan Kasperlik will take it over. So the team are, interestingly, slicks ready. Now they didn't do that to 21, but slick tyres being offered, and that's brave for the AM, isn't it, for Jan Kasperlik to go on to. So Bastien Bus giving way. And so now, number 22 up from the back of the grid onto slicks at the pit stop. Oh, a championship's on the line here if they win the class, and they're gambling on slick tyres. It will take a few laps to come into play, but if the wets have been overheating and that was why the car was losing pace, then it is perhaps the only answer. And the transition has not yet happened. I'm looking at Duncan Heisman's lap times. He's still doing 2:53s, whereas the outright best is a 2:46. So we're still on a wetter road than we are a dry road. But Allied Racing take that gamble. Bastien Bus will have reported back, and Jan Kasperlik will have talked to the team and said, OK, let's give it a roll. But it's going to take a few laps to get them anywhere near operating temperature. What they might be relying on is that by the end of the race, those that stay on wets are struggling with them overheating. So there you have the Gaël Castelli Toyota. This is the one to beat. Valentin Asclot is behind, and his last lap was over a second slower. So the Toyota looking dominant. It's been knocking on the door of a win all season. It's had the occasional problem. Of course, this Toyota Supra, a new car into GT4 terms, did some development last year. More and more of them now being seen in the European Series and also in British GT. As away there goes Jan Kasperlik. In comes the leader. So Gael Castelli for the pits. Makes the run past the pit brasserie, over the pit-in line, and so the leader comes down the pit road with Stéphane Lemeray set to take over. In the background there is Bob Herber's Mercedes, that again doesn't look, even though it's on slicks, they're going to change anything on that car. So there, Gael Castelli comes in. If you're changing tyres, by the way, it is a 122-second pit stop, not 92. So it's a longer pit stop for the Allied Racing Kasperlik car because of that tyre change. So that's another reason where you have to make the gamble. Do we go onto a better tyre but lose another, going to be 20-odd seconds? There is 21 out on track. So Jörg Wiebahn now at the wheel of that car, and off the road is Jan Kasperlik. That would suggest slicks are not the answer. That is Jan Kasperlik's outlap, and off he has gone up at Les Combes. Look, it's been all wrong coming into shot, and bang, into the tyre barrier goes Jan Kasperlik. Look at the rear wheel spinning on the wet grass. So slick tyres, he's got going again, he's got damage on the front of the car. I thought it was a gamble, but it is certainly a gamble that has not paid off at the start of the stint. So that means bits of car fly, and Jan Kasperlik limps down towards Bruxelles, but how much damage has that done? Forget winning the Pro-Am Championship right now. That car, I think he's going to be bound for the pit lane. So car 22 slide through Speaker's Corner, but slick tyres definitely have not been a good idea as far as Jan Kasperlik is concerned. Damage on the car, see the mirror folded back, and there you've got the damaged car heading on. Right, Bastien Bus has just seen that. He's with Gemma in the pit lane.
Bastien, obviously difficult time right now. We've just seen Jan had a big moment.
Yeah.
Do you think it's the gamble for moving on to slicks?
Of course it is, and it's always tricky conditions to drive in on a damping track when it's drying up. We chose the option to go for slicks tires in the pit stop, but I think maybe Jan wasn't careful enough in the start because it's still very wet on the track. But I think we decided to go on slicks because it's drying up really fast right now. But I don't know how the car is right now, so it have a bit of damage, but yeah.
Sure, frustrating because you drove a great stint.
Yeah, it was a really good stint, but in the end it's the team that wins, so both drivers have to do their best, and I think right now it was a small mistake in this weather, and a small mistake in rain just can end really bad, so yeah. We have to see how the damage is right now, and if we are able to finish the race.
Sure thing, thank you.
Thanks, Gemma. Good to hear from Bastien Bus then, and a real shame that the car is now damaged, and Bastien trying not to point the finger at Jan Kasperlik, but I'm afraid admitting, and we can see it, that a mistake was made, pushing a bit hard too soon on cold tyres. Well, he stayed out, has Jan Kasperlik. He has gone over the timing line. There you see coming into the pit lane Valentin Asclot to morph into Theo Nouet in the AGS events. Aston out gets VHC, in gets Theo Nouet. Esteban Muth up into second place, he's into the pits as well. Alfred Nielsen into the pits to give way to Joachim Walder. So the order shuffles through as we have now 25 minutes of the race to go. That means that everybody has come into the pits that is able to. The one that never actually got very far at all, Jotro Pollinger, remember we saw him turned around early in the race, and the Chevrolet was a retirement as a consequence of that. So there is car number 8 coming out of the bus stop. Now Stéphane Lemeray at the wheel. This should put it back into the lead of the race now as it comes past the pits, because everybody that had moved ahead is there stationary. So car number 8 leads the way. Stéphane Lemeray up front. Away goes Theo Nouet into the inside of the Lassour's hairpin and then to the pit exit line. He'll blast away as it's very much advantage Toyota right now as the number 8 Supra powers uphill. Toyota Gazoo Racing France colours carried on the car, operated by CMR, Classic Modern Racing. There is Théo Nouet then in second place, so let's see what the gap is going to be at the end of this lap for the two leaders. Look back, you've got the Nicolas Gomard Aston Martin, as it now is, heading the AM competition. There it is, the sister car. Behind, back on track there, that's Willem Meyer, who runs in the Silver Cup. He'll be taken over from Esteban Booth. So Lemeray down to Bruxelles. Still looking oh so strong as he turns through the corner. So as the race leaders work lap 13, where has all this drama put Jan Kasperlik? It's put him 12th overall, but it has put him now 5th within Pro-Am. Pro-Am being led by BMW at the moment. That will change at the end of this next lap, I think. But for Jan Kasperlik, all he can do now is try and soldier on and bag as many points as he can, because they're all going to be important to Paul Ricard next month. There, up through the right and left flick of the piff path goes number 8 then, Stéphane Lemeray. He's in the traffic, that's Bob Herber behind him. So Bob was another driver that started on slick tyres, but he ran, remember, in the AMP contest. So watching his lap times may not necessarily be a real indicator. Now, what about a lap time from Jorge Cabezas taking over from Duncan Heisman? Assuming they've stayed on slicks and the road is drying, as you've heard, then that car should be one to watch as well. But Stéphane Lemeray's last lap was from the pits. This will be our first look at a proper flying lap from Stéphane. Bob Herber, interestingly there, gets up the inside of number 75 Porsche, gets ahead of Dario Cerati. That rather suggests that the slicks on the Mercedes are working quite nicely all of a sudden. So the race leader comes past the pits, Toyota Supra ahead of Aston Martin, ahead of Aston Martin. 22 minutes are on the clock, and that lap from Lemeray was a 2:47.1. What about Théo Nouet behind him? First of all, we need to see the gap, and it's a big gap, in fairness. Got more track limit warnings being offered up. Cembol Bazi for one of them, Nicolas Gomard for another. The lead gap 18 seconds. Crikey, that's a huge advantage now that Lemeray has in hand. There in third place is Nicolas Gomard. Fourth behind him, Willem Meyer. So Gomard and Vanderlei doing a really impressive job here. They're AMs, remember, and they have worked their way up into third place outright. Their fourth is Willem Meyer. Fifth behind is Cembol Bazi's blue BMW that might just creep into shot. Yes, you can see it there as it comes from behind the graphic. And then sixth is number 98 BMW, Joachim Walder. Change that. Sixth now is Jörg Wiebard's Porsche that's just gone across the line. Up into seventh place is Xavier Lloveras' Mercedes. Joachim Walder dropping down the order after the pit stop. Right, there is the leading BMW then. Cembol Bazi, the Turkish driver, drives for the Borusan Automotive Motorsports squad and the real world as well as esports racer. He won the Formula Renault Euro Cup esports championship during the lockdown period. There is number 30, so Willem Meyer trying to get this Silver Cup car back up ahead of one of the AMs, namely Nicolas Gomard. Right, a look at the pace of Théo Nouet. He's fractionally faster than the leader within the first sector, but he's got to make up 18 seconds and he's only hundreds quicker, so it really doesn't look as though he's yet going to be able to do very much at all about Lemeray in the lead. One thing they are going to have to possibly consider with 20 minutes to go is tyre preservation. Jan Kasperlik, incidentally, the last lap was 2 minutes 57. Now, okay, the car's got damage, but it still doesn't look, despite the optimism of some, that slicks are yet the way to go. It might be on the last couple of laps, but it's a long, long slog to get there. Another car we've lost is Antoine Potti, the Toyota, still in the pit lane. Now, it was running in that leading group early on, remember, but number 66 Toyota never rejoined after its pit stop. Potti brought the car in, having been in the top three, and there it has stayed. There it is. So Antoine Potti's Toyota going no further, it would appear, behind his Ibrahim Okyai's BMW that also pitted before the window and never went back out. And that is Jan Kasperlik coming in. Is this to go back onto wets, or is this because the damage has given the car even bigger problems? Into the pit road comes Jan Kasperlik. Let's see what the team does here. The Allied Racing Squad chose to go onto the slicks, and what do they do? The very disconsolate Bastien Boost looking on, walking away, seeing his chances gone, and Jan Kasperlik retires from the race. So the Porsche, with its damage, out gets Jan Kasperlik and closes the door, walks away. So a very disappointed Jan Kasperlik. The championship dream won't be resolved this weekend. It'll have to go to the final races at Paul Ricard, as up now to the line comes number 30, which is the charging Willem Meyer. Now the car that's in second place, Theo Nue, the pit stop time is being looked at because it is shown as being 90.2 seconds and it needs to be 92. So the pit stop good, but not good enough, if you see what I mean. It was quick, but too quick. You want to be a tenth over that 92-second mark, really. And there are others, I think, that might be under, like Gomar, possibly also number 31 BMW, number 30 Mercedes, I should say, Willem Meyer. Chembol at Barzi's BMW, possibly also, because 92 seconds is the window. We've got quite a few at the 91 or 90-second mark. So there's a little bit of tolerance of a tenth here or there that you can use once over a weekend. But number 27 being investigated. Out of Bruxelles goes Theo Nue. So can that car do anything about the leader? And equally, is it going to be in strife with the pit stop time being investigated? Jorge Cavathas with 99 Chevrolets, the top 10 now with the retirement of Jan Kasperlik. So after a good first stint by Bastien Boost up for the back of the grid, Jan Kasperlik, who went off in qualifying, actually, that's why the car was at the back, because he made a mistake, went off the road and was therefore delayed, and it meant that Bastien Boost couldn't get out for much of the session, missed the window for the optimum track condition. And 22's damage is the reason for its retirement, we understand. So not a great weekend for Jan Kasperlik, but he will regroup, and we'll see what happens in the final races. As you look there at Willem Meyer running in 4th place, slides the car through the pit path onto the power once again here, and this the run into the right-hander of Campus. Now Jan Kasperlik's Porsche, as we know, is out of the race, but let's hear from Jan himself. Really frustrated, no doubt. Gemma is there to ask the questions.
Jan, clearly a very disappointing retirement for you.
Yeah, it's quite disappointing because Bastian did a good job from P15 to P6. Our sister car reported that we can go on slicks, so that's why we put also slick here. And I didn't push too much on the outlap. I knew that the slick are cold, and it was on camera straight braking really early, really careful. But suddenly doing shifting down before entering, the car spun. And then I tried to get it back on a little bit throttle, but no chance, and I was hitting the barriers, and that's why the race is over now.
Sure, very disappointing, thank you.
Yeah, because especially when you're a driver, when your colleague makes such a great stint, then you normally want to finish it on the perfect podium place, but that's also racing. Sorry for that, sorry to all the mechanics and to all guys, but cannot change it anymore.
Thanks, Jan.
Welcome.
So philosophical Jan Kasperlik, thanks Gemma. There you see just in the background the Yacht Rapanga Chevrolet parked after its damage early on. But interesting, isn't it, that Jan Kasperlik says our sister car told us we could go on to slicks. Well, that's the one they're fighting for the championship. You wonder whether it was a curveball offered up by Nikolai Moller-Madsen to say, yeah, it's definitely good enough for slicks. They didn't go on to slicks, remember. They stayed on wets. They changed the pressures, but they didn't change tyres. So just wonder whether that was a little bit sneaky to get the sister car into trouble for them to keep their championship hopes alive going into the final races. Maybe I'm being cynical in that, but it could have been a curveball to throw the class championship leaders off their stride. I'm sure it'll be discussed post-race. Number 30 Mercedes, Willem Meyer, goes down towards Bruxelles. Up towards Le Convert, Xavier Lloveras with the sixth placed Mercedes, and there is number 21, still on its wets, still in the race, unlike the sister car, and that is Jörg Wiebahn, who is now in second in Pro-Am. Now, could do with a win, of course, here, but Cembolic Bazi's BMW is leading in Pro-Am at the moment, which is good to see, because that car has been quick but a bit short of luck over the course of the season. They did have a Pro-Am win at Imola right at the start of the season, Cembolic Bazi and Jagish Gedik, but since then, the BMWs have been a bit outpaced in that class. He was a third outright as well in that race. Lloveras downhill, the NM Racing Team Mercedes, the Spanish crew. A 1 second stop and go penalty for number 27, Theo Nue, for violation of Article XX. I think that's because he's under the pit stop time. So it's a 1 second stop and go penalty for the number 27 car in second place. And that, therefore, is going to drop it quite a way down the order, because it's not just the stop go, it is the drive time through the pit lane. So AGS Events, by being just under 2 seconds under the pit window, allotted time, the pit stop time, are going to have to serve a stop and go. Theo Nue isn't yet serving it. The message will get through. Trouble is, you can't really argue because it's on the timing screen for everybody to see. The timing system so good these days that with the beams all over the place, it knows exactly when you are in and out of the pit stop. So slightly under by 1.8 seconds they were under the delta time, but it's enough, and therefore a stop go penalty of 1 second comes for Theo Nue and Valentin Asclot, and that will put the sister car then of Nicolas Gomar up into second place overall, which is going to be an outstanding result. A podium for an AM is good, never mind second place. So Gomar and Van der Leyen, they've driven very, very well, and circumstances for others have helped them up the order, and here is another gift horse that they can look at. So the car there it is in third spot, being chased by the Mercedes, that's Willem Meyer behind. And the car's currently working that number 17 here at Spa-Francorchamps. The leading AM, there he is, Nicolas Gomar for AGS Events. Now, it's the class points they're really after, but an overall podium would be very good indeed. Willem Meyer right up then behind as they come into Licom. Still 12 more minutes of the race remain. Nicolas Gomar needs to make a decision. Does he get involved in the battle that he doesn't need to for overall honours, or does he keep out of trouble, let that Silver Cup car go, and think about the class points, the AM class points? So they're up out of the Bruxelles right-hander they turn, drop downhill once again out of the so-called speaker's corner. Another back marker ahead, I think that's Dario Cerati in one of the Toyota Orlando Sport cars, and Giuseppe Ghetti in the sister one, out on track 2 at the moment. The leader is down at turn 14. Stéphane Lemeray utterly dominant in this race. So there, with a big flash of the lights, Willem Meyer hunts down Nicolas Gomar as they turn into the pit path once more here. Turn right, turn left. And then accelerate down towards the right-hander of Campus. There is number 30 Mercedes, which will dart. Oh, no, it won't. Up past the traffic because the Cayman had to take its line. And that delayed Willem Meyer just a little. Contact averted, but it's cost him a length or so against the Aston Martin, as you see. Nicolas Gomar is also now being warned once more about track limits. There'll be a driving standards flag for him and also for Willem Meyer. So these two both totting up. And interestingly, track limit warning, even though we haven't seen it as a message on the screen, in the track limit warning column, Stéphane Lemeray is now up to 4. Jörg Wiebahn's car is up to 5. But Lemeray, in particular, having these warnings recorded, and so too is Wiebahn. Jörg Wiebahn now being told about the track limits at Speaker's Corner in the number 21 Porsche. But Stéphane Lemeray on 4 track limit warnings needs to be careful. So the leaders currently are on lap 18. The leading gap is 16 seconds, and Nue pits. So Gomar then there, he's up in the second place. Willem Meyer is third, as into the pit road to serve that stop and go penalty is Theo Nue. Downhill, Willem Meyer now crawling all over the back of Nicolas Gomar. As I say, Gomar can afford to let him go in a sense, because this is not a class battle. He does not need to be involved in this. The Aston slides uphill and now powers on up to the approach to Les Combes Is this a part of the circuit where the Mercedes is going to be able to charge on by? Let's have a look. Up to the outside line goes Willem Meyer, breaks late, and yes, gets the job done, through he goes. Nicola Gomez slots back in behind him, but of course maintains his class lead. So Am Point still going the way of 89 Aston Martin. There it is as they go down the hill. So Stéphane Lamoureux's advantage is now going to be a huge one, with Theo Nue having pitted. So mixed emotions this for AGS events. One of its cars will get a really good result. The other one, of course, helping to do that by its own problems. The other talking point of the race, of course, has been the demise of number 22 Jan Kasperlik. The next brace being warned about track limits are the cars of Xavier Lloveras as well as Jürgen Wiebahn. There downhill goes Theo Nue. So Nue back on track, and it's put in behind Cembor Bazi's BMW. So this now is the battle for fourth place. Nue trying to hustle up the inside of the Pro-Am car. Can't do it there. Turning into Campus now through that right hand of the BM, goes a little bit wider than does the Aston. The Aston should have the grunt actually now on the run up towards Blanchimont, and again it's not a class battle this. You've got a Pro-Am versus a Silver Cup car, so Cembor Bazi would be advised in a sense to just let him go. They turn through, and Cembor Bazi then also has the traffic to factor in. 8 minutes of the race still to run here as the cars accelerate into the bus stop. Cembor Bazi dives to the inside of the Porsche, covers off the challenge also here of the 27 Aston. And number 21, Jürgen Wiebahn, is being given a 5-second time penalty for track limits. He's had enough warnings, or the car has, so it is up to 5, and now a 5-second penalty comes. Down into La Source come the BMW versus Aston, and this battle, remember now, is for fourth place. Battle no more, because Theo Nue goes through up on the inside line. Downhill goes the Aston Martin, and down at the pith path, in other words the far end of the circuit, turns 12-13, that area, cameramen are reporting spots of rain. So the circuit conditions may well be changing. 7 minutes of the race to go. To keep an eye, as shortly this man Stéphane Lamoureux will head to that section. We've been told that the road was drying, but the drivers that have done their best lap of late have been those on slick tyres. That could all change again now if the weather turns nasty. So just when the tyres finally are starting to give you the advantage, it looks like the weather gods have got something else in store. Lamoureux has backed his pace right off, by the way, because he's 22 seconds in the lead. He does not need to stress this car, and he's certainly not stressing it now. Number 75 now being warned about the track limits, which is Dario Cerati. A long way back, he is in 12th place. That's last, incidentally. So Lamoureux, this is the pith path. If there are spots of rain, they've not yet amounted to much more than that, so the GT4 European Series drivers might just get away with it. And did that Toyota sound a bit misfiery? Now, that might be a traction control kicking in because of the wet conditions, or it might be a pucker misfire, which is how the car sounded a bit yesterday. Just need to keep an ear to that, because the last lap was a 2:52. Now, having said that Lamoureux doesn't need to stress that car, let's see what his sector times are like. First sector, half a second down on Willem Meyer there, look, in second place behind him. The middle sector is about to be completed, but I don't think Lamoureux has a problem. But he has lost very nearly 2 seconds in the middle sector of this lap. And again, it sounds a bit fluffy there, doesn't it? Very fluffy. The rain is coming as well. But that car is not sounding as good as it did. In the final sector, it's lost a second against the earlier best. The road is getting wetter, granted, so that's going to affect lap times. But this now, Willem Meyer versus Nicolas Gomar, they could be catching the race leader. Let's see. We have got just under 5 minutes of the race to go, and the lead gap is now, what, 20 seconds. That lap from Willem Meyer was a 2 minutes 49, plays a 2:52 from Lemeray in the lead. And I'm still concerned about the slight misfiring nature of that Toyota. So 4.5 minutes to go. If Stéphane Lemeray can just nurse the car home, he should be good. But when it goes past us at Les Combes, let's have another listen. Toyota turns in, leading the way still. And in sector 1, that was 47.4 seconds. Should be doing 46s, 45s in the dry. This is the fight for second place. So the gap is still a big one, but it is coming down. Willem Meyer, well, we're getting the message from the Sellers Lap Racing team. He could do his shaking off Gomar as well, so he can concentrate on catching. Well, he's only taken 4/10 out, actually, in that first sector, so it isn't a big gain, certainly not as big as he would like. Meyer also now being warned about the track limits at the bus stop, the exit of the bus stop chicane. They're down into Bruxelles, they turn. So has Lemeray done enough? Despite what might be a problem developing, he is still in charge. There's the leading Toyota. Right, let's have a listen. Yep, again, it's got that little fluffiness of the engine note, but Lemeray presses on as best he can. So he's losing pace against the chasing Mercedes, but, and again, you can hear the misfire, with 20 seconds in hand, he should be able to nurse it to the end. Up the curb, getting all excited there, is the Nicolas Gomar Aston Martin, putting another lap on Bob Herber's Mercedes. Remember, that's on slicks, and having just been improving its lap time, that was all going wrong again. So the car accelerates out of the Cours Paul Frère onto Blanchimont. There is going to be one more lap, I reckon, at the end of this for Stéphane Lemeray, so he should be able to hang on, even though the car is losing pace. So over the line he goes. Lemeray, less than a lap time left in the race now as he goes down to La Source. That lap was a 2:51, so not great, but it's not appalling. It's a nurse home situation, this, for leader Lemeray. There in second place is the Willem Meyer Mercedes. The margin between the top two then now, starting the last lap, 17 seconds. So yeah, it's coming down, but not by enough, that's for sure. If this were a 2-hour race, it might be a different story, but the Toyota should be good to nurse itself to the end. Third, Nicolas Gomar, set for an AM win. Fourth is Theo Noué, and fifth, leading Pro-Am, is Chen Bolivazi's BMW, for its second class win of the season. So the Mercedes pushes on. But Willem Meyer still charging, still trying to see if he can get any closer to the race-leading Toyota, just in case he's able to capitalise. In the first sector, he's taken out over a second on this lap. Now, again, I'm sure it's Lemeray nursing it. He's got still a big enough margin as Theo Noué goes through. Noué is chasing on behind Nicolas Gomar, but he's got to make up 4.5 seconds on this lap as well, and that ain't going to happen. Looking at the evidence, he might claw back some of it, but not all of it. So the race leaders currently are on lap 21. It is the last lap of the race. The clock will hit 0 this way around. So there you have the third place Aston Martin, Nicolas Gomar, heading for his AM win. Jörg Wiebahn will keep the Pro-Am Championship fight alive. He won't win the class, but he will score points, whereas the Caspalik boost car will not. And despite the misfire, Lemeray presses on, makes his way into the Cours Paul Frère for the last time here. Powers on. And this will be the run into the fast left-hander of Blanchimont, the flag at the ready. And so finally, it is going to be a win for the Toyota Gazoo Racing France squad. CMR operating the Supra GT4. Gaël Castelli started it. Stéphane Lemeray is going to bring it home. And a man that's in the Total 24 Hours of Spa. It's a busy weekend for him, but the day starts well with the win. Stéphane Lemeray and Gaël Castelli take honours for the Toyota squad. It's the first win in European GT4 for the Toyota Supra. Gaël Castelli and Stéphane Lemeray win. Second is going to go the way here of Willem Meyer and Nicolas Gomard. And then third is the Aston. What about fourth? Theo Nue should go through, and then fifth is Chen Bullock-Bazi's BMW. Bullock-Bazi goes through, and the BM takes Pro-Am success just ahead of Bob Herber's Am Mercedes in the background. So a good result there for the BMW. Nice to see the BM being able to get back to the top of the notional podium here. And Stéphane Lemeray, despite the problems that the car seemed to be developing, makes his way as a race winner on the slowing down lap. Lemeray, a very happy man, especially after yesterday where the car ground to a halt on the first lap of the race, behind the safety car admittedly, but it was the first lap because the clock had started. But today, no dramas at all. Well done, Stéphane Lemeray and Gaël Castelli. They've come so close with front-running pace in the past. They had a second place at Zandvoort, they had a second place at Imola, second place at the Nürburgring, but finally the win has come. So good news for Toyota. The Gazoo brand, of course, in GT racing, in touring car racing, in rallying, in sports car racing. And Stéphane Lemeray, the winner by 13 seconds in the end from Willem Meyer at the end of that stint. If you're wondering why he's going offline now, it's all to do with pickup to help the ride heights and to help the weight of the car. So let's confirm the way they came across the line then. It was the win for the CMR Toyota Supra of Stéphane Lemeray and Gaël Castelli ahead of Willem Meyer and Esteban Muth. Nicolas Gomard from Gilles Vannelet third, then Theo Nue and Valentin Asclot fourth, Chen Bullock-Bazi and Jagish Gedik fifth from Xavier Lloveras and Rafael Villanueva. Jörg Vivan and Nikolai Müller-Madsen seventh from Joachim Walder and Alfred Nielsen. Giuseppe Gezzi was ninth with the help of Andreas Mayel and Jorge Cabezas and Duncan Heisman 10th from Bob Herber, and then Dario Cerati and Maurizio Fondi, the only other finisher, everybody else being in strife, be it mechanical or damage, or actually a combination of both. So an interesting race, very definitely, and one that kept us guessing to the end with the possible problem for Stéphane Lemeray. We might hear more about that when he makes his way round into Parc Fermé. So the GT4 European Series weekend concluded, and the drivers, as I say, will now make their way into Parc Fermé. Some of them head for home, some of them will get themselves in 24-hour mode for later on. Look at the highlights of that race. Began with that great start from Nikolai Müller-Madsen, diving up on the inside, almost got second. It was third as he came out of the corner, as way wide went Alfred Nielsen, and also Esteban Muth forced out wide in the green Mercedes. But early doors, it was Gaël Castelli pushing on. Müller-Madsen got up into second place, but then the Porsche seemed to lose pace on his slicks. Duncan Heisman was really struggling, and Yot Rapanga got involved with Ibrahim Okiai, got turned around, and the Camaro out of the race. Okiai pitted, didn't rejoin. Great start by Bastien Bus, brought him up the order, worked his way into contention, whereas Müller-Madsen started to fall back. He dropped behind Potty, who went off the road and had to try it over again, but he also lost that place to the Valentin Asclot Aston Martin. Asclot got past Müller-Madsen, then so did Antoine Potty. At the pit stop, Müller-Madsen handed over. They changed the tyre pressures on the sister car. They changed tyres onto slicks, and it was not the way to go because Kaspelik was soon off the road. Bits of bodywork flew as he tried to limp back to the pit lane. So Theo Nue, having taken over from Valentin Asclot, found himself in second place, but then had a stop-go for being under the pit stop time. Lemeray led, but with a slightly fluffy-sounding engine, the gap came down over the second-placed green Mercedes in the hands of Willem Meyer, who in turn had to battle his way up past Nicolas Gomard, who was on target to win the AM competition, but a really good drive by Stéphane Lemray and Gaël Cassidy, finally taking a win for Toyota. You get the feeling it wasn't a walk in the park, but it's a very happy team that can celebrate the win. And Stéphane Lemray out of the car. We'll get his winner's cap. There is a very happy Gaël Cassidy who walks across to congratulate Stéphane. And fastest lap of the race also. The celebrations are well and truly underway. It's been a long time coming, that win, but everybody absolutely over the moon about it. Gaël Cassidy, fastest lap of the race, to go with his win, to go with the car's pole position. It might have been a bit heart in mouth at the end, but the car got to the end. Thumbs up for Stéphane Lemray. Fist bumps all round. So let's see if we can grab a word with the winners, because there's Gaël Cassidy is ready for us. Stéphane Lemray will take off his balaclava, and hopefully, once he's got his mask on, we'll be able to head towards the microphone. But he's all smiles, is Stéphane Lemray. There's the mask. And Stéphane Lemray and Gaël Cassidy are victorious. They're with Gemma.
Congratulations, félicitations. Not at all easy, that race, but a well-deserved win. Gaël, you started the race, le début. C'était pas du tout facile.
C'était pas facile, c'est vrai qu'il fallait que j'économise un peu les pneus pour Stéphane, c'était en train de sécher. Donc voilà, l'objectif c'était de rester devant et puis d'essayer d'économiser pour que Stéphane il gagne la course à la fin.
The objective there to keep the tyres conserved and to heat them slowly and make sure that you can keep the tyres in the drying out track as well. Well done, Stéphane. A fantastic finish.
Thank you very much. I didn't do a lot. I was just managing the tires, so he did all the job, and he did it perfectly. He was so fast, incredible. And then I had a big gap on the following cars, so I was just managing the tires. I was not sure to be able to finish the race with these tires, so I was in the wet. I was avoiding the dry line, so it was just managing tires. But we are so happy for Toyota, for CMA. It's unbelievable because we are so strong from since the start of the season, and now we did it.
Enfin, félicitations, super, well done.
So a win for the Toyota Gazoo Racing France squad, and let's hope this is a good weekend for Toyota all round. British touring car activity for Toyota Gazoo Racing UK, of course. And Speedworks Motorsport, the team that operates that car, and the Supra in British GT, watching on from the UK, watching this race. So a good start to the weekend for Toyota, and well done, Stéphane Lemray, and to Gaël Cassidy, the man that set the fastest lap of the race. So the GT4 European Series concludes its racing activity at Spa. Toyota wins from Mercedes, from Aston Martin, Silva and Am in the top three. The winning Pro-Am, fifth place, Cembolo Bazzi and Jagish Gedich in the BMW. So the drivers will shortly make their way up to the podium, where they collect their trophies, and the one-way system is in operation. So you come on at one side, get your trophy, pose for your photograph, and then hop off the other side. 1 or 2 cars still to be retrieved, and the drivers in the F1 pits making their way, as I say, into the race control building and then to the podium. So Jan Kasperlik's frustration you heard in the course of that race, and he will have to take the fight to the final event at Paul Ricard within the GT4 European Series mid-November. Cars make their way, as you can see there, if they're not needed for the podium, back to their teams, and the GT4 European Series, one more stop on its trail. But for the Toyota team, very, very happy indeed with that result, and the drivers now will, as I say, make their way up to the presentation area. Probably one of the best results as well, going the way of Nicolas Gomard and Gilles Vannelet, taking the AM win ahead of number 76 Porsche, which was the Giuseppe Gezzi and Andreas Mayel entry, and then third in the class, having persevered on his slick tyres, Bob Herber. So we should get the drivers shortly to the podium. It takes a little bit of coordination, all of this, of course. But Nina Pfifner, the championship manager, will get everybody ready in due course, and then we can have the drivers brought forward. So it was Vincent Franson there, the circuit commentator, calls them forward. Out come the third place silver drivers. So Theo Nuet and Valentin Asclot recovering after their stop-go penalty, taking third spot. The AGS Events Aston Martin crew celebrates, if that's the right word, third position. Then we have for second place within the silvers, Willem Meyer and Esteban Muth. They step forward. Willem Meyer in his multicoloured overalls, a romper suit. Esteban Muth, relative convert from esports racing to real world racing. And then the race winners step forward, the silver winners, the overall winners. A very popular result, Gael Castelli and home hero Stéphane Lemeray for the Toyota Gazoo Racing France squad. For CMR, it is a win for the French-Belgian combination. The French team, CMR, the car entered by Chab Evolution. It is driven by a Frenchman, Gael Castelli, and a Belgian, Stéphane Lemeray, and he is a very popular winner. It's a great shame for him, great shame for everybody that the Spa 24-hour event this year doesn't have the usual huge, enthusiastic crowd that we are so used to seeing. But Stéphane Lemeray will grab the headlines come what may for a race win on race morning. So the drivers for the other classes prepare themselves, but congratulations for a race win. Stéphane Lemeray, Gael Castelli victorious at Spa, and the championship campaign moves, of course, in the next few weeks to Paul Ricard. For now, from Spa, from David Addison, it's goodbye.